Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Cupressus sempervirens glauca, or more commonly known as the pencil pine. Let's get into it. So when it comes to choosing plants for your garden bed, if you're doing this renovation yourself, or whether you've got an architect or a landscape company to come on board and do the landscaping on your property, you need to make sure you are choosing the right plants for the area. Now there's a number of reasons why I went with the pencil pine, and we'll go through them soon. But first of all, you need to actually assess the garden bed area that you have and make sure you are choosing the right plant for the area. Now I work, if you didn't know, in the lawn garden industry, and I have for many years, and it's crazy still to this day, even sadly from new builds getting done, people having big renovations on the landscaping done. It's amazing how many properties I turn up to, and the plants I see planted in particular areas are just really incorrect. And not incorrect in the way of the look of the plant, it's more so, is that plant the right area for that little of shade? Does it cop too much sun? Is it not enough sun? And that's really something to keep in mind if you are considering pencil pines for your area. Now the pencil pine requires well-drained garden beds. So as you can see in this particular garden bed, it is raised a little bit above garden level. Yes, these garden beds are due for a soil top up, but they are raised up, and I know when I dug all this out and replaced it with new soil, I knew the underlying subfloor layer of soil wasn't rock hard. There was still good drainage there. And on our particular property, we don't have water that pools in this area. Like if we get torrential rain, like we had with the cyclone that not long ago came through Brisbane, all the water just keeps moving. But anyway, pencil pines do require really good draining soil. If pencil pines or any plant is left in soil where the water cannot get away, then you can commonly end up with root rot, and you'll start to see that happening with the conifer or pencil pine, leaves starting to brown off. I'll put a picture on the screen, and that can be a common cause. Some people look at it and go, oh, my plant has a disease, but commonly I found it's actually a problem where they're either getting overwatered, or the area they're planted in, it just isn't draining well enough. So keep that in mind if you're choosing conifers, or particular these sempervirens glaucas, for your garden bed. All right, so this particular pencil pine is from the blue Italian cypress family, and you can tell that by there's quite a nice shade of blue in the leaf, which is why I particularly picked this variety of pencil pine. Now there are a few different varieties. I'll put them up on the screen for you to see, but why I particularly like this particular sempervirens variety is due to their nice blue shade that they have through the leaf. Now let's talk about growth of the actual pencil pine. So I purchased these, honestly, I can't remember whenever I did the renovation video on this garden bed. I'll put it up on the screen, the date that I did, but these were about the 1 meter to 1.2 meters high. And now they're approximately, 3 to 4 meters high now. So you'll get a bit of a gauge on how fast they grow in the time frame of when I installed these to where they are now. But one of the particular reasons I chose pencil pines is because our neighbouring back property, there used to be beautiful trees here, and if you look at the garden renovation video at the time, you'll see that we had a big wall of green behind us, so it provided great privacy behind the neighbouring property to our property. And sadly, unfortunately, that those trees were causing foundation problems on the back property, they had to sadly go. So we completely lost all our privacy behind us. So I needed something that grew up nice and tall, but also didn't tree out too much. And another factor that I wanted to tick, or another tick box, was I didn't want to plant something that dropped a lot of mess, and I ended up having to just either pick up the leaves or the rubbish constantly dropping on the lawn, etc, etc. But then you also need to be wary, those trees are going to go over the neighbouring property as well, so maybe your back neighbour has a pool there. So these are things you need to consider when choosing a plant for the area. But the beauty of the pencil pine is it grows from approximately 10 to 15 meters. So they grow up super tall, and approximately, and this again is in good growing conditions for this particular plant, they grow around 1/2 meter to 1 meter wide. So I knew I'd get plenty of height out of these. They wouldn't create any mess or rubbish. Very simple to look after. So long as they're in the right garden bed. Again, if they're in the right garden bed, you're going to see less issues with disease and rot problems from the roots. So I knew they weren't going to give me a lot of issues, and in time as they grew up, they would provide, again, we'd get privacy again to our property. So they are really good in that factor. They're definitely a tick box. If you've got a little skinny garden but you need something that gives height, then definitely the pencil pine is something to consider. And again, eventually I chose these plants too because this property will eventually become a tenanted property, and having tenants in here, I wanted to keep maintenance down as little as possible, and there is literally like zero maintenance. You could over time hedge these if you wanted to, but in my plan I didn't want to. I just wanted to plant them and just let them go, spread out, eventually touch each other and create a beautiful green wall along the back here, providing privacy for myself or whoever lives in this property in the future. So yeah, so that's a good reason why we chose the pencil pine conifers. All right, so the next thing to note is these do require full sun. Well, not require, they just do their best in full sun. So keep that in mind as well. And a good reason, a good way to explain that is the fence behind me here. This faces north here in Brisbane. So you can see behind me the sun mainly comes over on the northern aspect, and you can see we have our side fence here. So here from the fence base, hang on, let me show you. From the fence from the fence down, you can see how thin they are because they're not getting as much sunlight, which I knew would happen, much sunlight due to the fence covering them out. But as we start to move up the plant where the sun actually hits it, you can see how dense and thick they are growing. So again, down here, you can see how thinned out they are. And then as we move up where the sun is actually hitting them, they become far more dense. So that just goes to show you how how better they grow in the way of dense and thickness if they are exposed to full sun. Now, I was talking about a little bit of maintenance earlier. I did mention about that you can trim them once they have established, then that's fine. But one of the things you can see on mine here is they are all staked. Now, this is something you may have to do. I had to do it. Again, we had a cyclone not long ago come through Brisbane, and these were all bent over and facing every which way but up. So I had to come through and stake them all to make sure they keep on growing nice and straight. So that is something you might have to do as they start to mature, is make sure you're ready to stake them. Sometimes you'll just require one, sometimes you require three, but again, that also comes down to the landscape layout of your garden at home. Is the garden bed in an area of high winds or is it not? This is quite exposed in our backyard, so it does cop a fair bit of wind, and if you're in Brisbane and we're here for that cyclone, you know the wind kicked up pretty bad. But the good thing is, I honestly thought these might snap at the base in those winds when it came through, but none of them did. They all just sort of leant over and I was able to just pull them back up straight, get the stakes in, tie them up, and they were good as gold. So it's good to see that they also do take a bit of brunt and won't just fold over and snap, and there goes your dollary-doos down the drain. Now, speaking of dollars, I got these plants from Sunshine Coast Plant Nursery. This isn't a shout out, they haven't sponsored this video, nothing like that. I've just dealt with them in my business before and they were absolutely fantastic. Now, I bought these in the 300ml pot size, and they, I think off the bat, this was again a number of years ago, I think they were around the $80 to $90 per 300ml pot. I can't confirm that, just check that on the website. But if you are looking for someone to deal with, to get your plants from, or in bulk orders, then Sunshine Plants are great. And of course, yes, they deliver to Brisbane. But anyway, jump on their website, check it out, and you'll be able to see all the other different varieties that might suit your particular garden bed as well. Maybe you don't require a conifer that goes so high, then you can look at other varieties that more grow wide and short as opposed to really tall. But anyway, go check that out. And then, yeah, discussing maintenance, like I mentioned, you might need to bang in some stakes to keep them upright on days like this where it's a little bit windy through Brisbane. But anyway, that's basically it in the way of maintenance. Yes, at times you'll need to give them a bit of a fertilizer and make sure they are fed and well watered through the establishing period. Now, once these guys are also established, the beauty of them, and again, another reason why I chose these, is once they are established and matured, they are very drought tolerant. Now, if you can see behind me, I'll see if I can rip some tea tree out of the way here. Under here, I installed a dripper system, you can see. And if you didn't see the garden renovation video I did, that included the installation of the irrigation dripper system I did for these. They do love a regular water, but of course, regular watering's great, but you need to get rid of that water as well. So again, drainage is key. But these guys are on a tap timer, and that just drips every couple of days and gives them a good water. Now, if you live in Brisbane, I've turned that off recently because we have been inundated with rain. We have had absolutely too much. So I've turned the system off for now, so they're not getting overwatered. And again, the water isn't able to leave the area, etc. So we decrease the chance of root rot or having issues with the conifers. So yeah, regular watering, like I mentioned, good slow release fertilizer every couple of months, etc. And of course, you can get something from Plant Doctor, something like Seaweed Secrets, and give them a feed in your watering can with that. And if you want to save a bit of money, you can put in Mowtime 10 at the checkout, and that'll give you 10% off any of the Plant Doctor products on their website. And of course, it helps to support Mowtime. So thank you for those who do, I appreciate it. But yeah, let's move on. All right, so we'll wrap the video up there. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, of course, as usual, regarding this plants or anything garden related that you saw in the video, put in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Now, again, I can't stress enough that to make sure that you do your research in choosing the right plant for the garden bed. If you're watching this video because you want to find out whether the pencil pine is the correct plant for your garden bed, then good, because that's the point of this video, to show you that it needs to be good water drainage, good sunlight, etc., in order for this plant to thrive at its best. So hopefully that has helped you made your decision whether it's the right plant variety for the garden bed you are doing. But just make sure you don't just wander down to Bunnings, grab any old plant, throw it in anywhere. That's not how it works. You need to do your education and your research into choosing the right plants for the area. Also, again, another big thing I'm seeing about landscape installs getting done, and 100% can reckon these aren't getting done by actual landscape construction companies, is a lot of people are putting in plants and not considering maintenance, ongoing maintenance. The amount of plants I'm seeing installed driving around the streets of Hamilton, Ascot, Clayfield, Grange, Windsor, Wilston, across that inner northern area where I work, I just scratch my head because I'm like, they did not think about the ongoing maintenance. The common one is seeing jasmine vines, etc., planted right next to houses or right next to the foundations of a house. Jasmine vines or any vines, they get into everything, and you have to stay on top of trimming them because they can just become an utter nightmare. I see people put them on fences and eventually they end up destroying the fence. Plants are much stronger, especially vines, are much stronger than you think, and they will damage your property and get in under the house, get up through louvers, into bathrooms, etc. So keep that in mind. Please do your research also on the ongoing maintenance of that plant variety before you put it in the ground and start to grow it. But anyway, that's a wrap on today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Click the thumbs up button if you did. And if you're new to the channel and do enjoy anything lawn and garden related, hit that subscribe button for more videos to come. As always, I hope you are all doing well physically and mentally. If you are not, please reach out to people that might be able to help you out if you're struggling, especially if you are in business or the lawn and garden industry. Business is not a walk in the park and it can be a struggle. So make sure you reach out and get some help. But anyway, I got to get back to work. We'll see you all in the next video.